vibration of an object and the senses of the living. These two worlds collide to produce a musical byproduct. It is created by a West Coast artist using a multitude of mediums to create a sonic landscape. Please welcome Sound Animal.
Yay!
That was a great intro.
Wonderful intro. Oh my gosh.
That was pretty straight too. I was pretty straight. I didn't throw any funny things in there.
That's right. Cool. That was very respectful of my our music, because Sound Animal isn't all me.
That's right. Who else is it?
It depends. Most of the time it is all me, but on a few singles and a few albums, it's been primarily there've been two primary people that I did a lot of work with. One is this guy who goes by the name of
That's helpful. Don't know how I'm going to spell that.
XAW, which is wax backwards. You can also.
That's right. We talked about him last time. Yes.
Yeah. So we did some albums. So we would start with a jam, and then I would take little sections of that and then just go to town with it. Maybe have like 85 stems that I'm, working on in a song. So like Silver Flute and Penny Whistle and this and that and this and that, 85 of them, And then another one is AJ Kaufman, who is a very prolific, mostly guitar, but he does other things too, like bass, but very prolific guitar player and singer in Poland.
Oh.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Poznan.
Let's go with that. Poznan sounds right.
Poznan. It's Poznan. Because he's got a song about Poznan town. But most of the time, it's me. So I make the distinction that I am SA, and Sound Animal is like this larger thing. But I'm Sound Animal, fuck it.
Well, Sound Animal, it's really great to have you back on. I cut off Brent. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'll still ask my question. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Wait a second. So it's good to have you back on the show. What have you been up to, and what are your 2024 plans?
2024 plans. As far as music goes, I don't have really any more plans other than I've got one more song to put out, and it's like my big song, I've been waiting for at least a year to put this thing out. So I'm going to do it in conjunction with your podcast.
That's last plan, musically. And what was your most recent release? I did it again. I'm sorry. So what happens when you've been gone for so long and I've had to do this by myself?
You're actually asking good questions. I would get angry.
Oh, for a change. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're actually asking questions that are related to the topic we're talking about.
Oh, shit. Now I forgot my question. Go ahead.
You were asking
what was her last release?
Oh, what was your last release?
All right. I'm very happy to say it was an album called Glitch and the Dominatrix.
And I love the album art for that. Can I just? Chef's kiss, man. Chef's kiss. I actually looked at it and was like, I'm going to print this out and hang this somewhere. It's so good. It is so something my daughter would draw. It's great.
Oh, cool.
Go ahead, Brent.
All right. So basically what I understand what you're saying is you're retiring from music. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, we'll see, but very likely. There is no.
I am not allowing this line of questioning to continue.
And he came out to visit me some months ago, and we started goofing around and just, having fun making some sound. And so we are talking about, doing an album or something. But he lives a long way away, and, I don't have a working music computer. But we've got some headway on that, And then I'm also doing these things that are really sort of like multimedia poems in a way that you might see on a in a poetry online journal, multimedia poetry journal. That's my goal with them. So I make these spontaneous songs, and then I send them to musicians, and then they interweave that into it, sort of like it's just one of the stems. And it's not really like your typical way of relating to a voice in a song, you know. So it comes across, it's like something you can listen to while you're doing something else. You don't have to listen to the words, or you can listen to the words, kind of like the ambient idea, you know, where it can go forward or backwards. So I have been doing some things like that, and I'm looking for a new housemate. So who knows, maybe I'll have a housemate who's into busting out all the instruments. So I'm leaving it open, but probably retiring.
Is the reason basically you don't have the technology to do it? Or are you tired? Are you burned out? Because I was talking to my wife about it today. I was like, she goes, who are you interviewing tonight? And I go, oh, we're interviewing Sea Animal. And she goes, what does she do? And I kind of explained what you did. And she was like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, okay. I go, you probably wouldn't think it's music. And she goes, does she sing? And I go, yes, but you probably would not think it's singing. And she's like, what are you talking about? So then, because you're very difficult to explain, because
something you have to experience for sure.
Yeah, I used words that, as I understand your art, which is my perception of what your art is, not necessarily what it actually is, but it's my perception of it. And she goes, well, what are y'all going to talking about? And I go, I think she's going to retire. She goes, how long has she been doing this? And I was like, a while. You know, she's been down in the ditches and cranking out music for a while. And she's like, well, why is she retiring? That's kind of sad. And I was like, yeah, I think it's sad too. And that's one of the reasons why we're going to talk to her.
Yeah. When you said, when you first said, well, I explained to her what your music was like, it's like, oh man, I wish I could have heard that, man. How'd you do that? But yeah, it's so different. Each album is so different, completely different time to time. So some of it's relatively conventional music and singing, But yeah, I kept trying to get myself to quit, but it was just what I wanted to do all the time. I loved it, but I felt like I needed to just focus on work, making money.
All right, we're all right there with you. We're like, gosh, darn it.
My music computer just like made a big sound in the middle of the night. I didn't know what it was. It was just a big boom in the middle of the night. And in the morning I discovered it must have been the computer because the screen was cracked. So it's like, oh, well, did I do that? I sound like Poltergeist,
Oh, shit.
Like my future coming in and saying, oh, you better not keep thinking so much about music. You better just do what you gotta do.
Well, I mean, you're going to do what you got to do anyway, because if you don't, you'll die, or be homeless or something. So that's going to happen naturally. So is it because your computer's gone that you're really seriously thinking about retiring?
Yeah. If I had it, I would be making music, but yeah, and I put it away for so long that, I got some gifts from fans, like go out and get it. So I went out and got this external monitor to hook up to it and got my password wrong the first few tries, and then it won't let me in anymore. And it's like, oh man, I'm just gonna work for right now.
You just need a whole new computer.
Yeah, what device is it? Is it an Apple or what is it?
It was a gift. It's like the top of the line Mac, like a MacBook Pro, but like with all the good things, because you have to have a lot of power to make music like I make.
A lot of memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of programs and everything on there, and just, and it's like what I've got on there, it only exists there. And it's all these, as far as I know, it's like it just exists there, and it's can only exist on this really nice, like, high-end computer. And so I don't think I can just get a new one and have access to any of that. So really it's just a technical thing, but I have to just see it as, probably a good thing. So I can just, because I teach fiction writing and poetry writing and stuff, so I can just focus on that.
Brent is like doing his technical stuff in his head right now, and he's like, how can I fix her computer? I see it. He does IT, so.
Oh.
I think someone just needs to buy her a new computer, pretty much is what I'm hearing. If you locked yourself out, it's a bitch to get back into Apple products after you've locked yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
like it looks up what to do, and it does. The laptop doesn't give me those options to do that, so it just seems sort of like the end of the line.
You might be able to take it to Best Buy, and they'll charge you $100, but they'll be able to pull some of the stuff off for you.
See, I don't want some of it off. It's either all or nothing. Like the day before it broke down, I had just downloaded this program that I've been wanting all this time. It's like it's on that computer, and so I can like record any sound and put it in there and then play the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always wanted to do that. It's like without all those bells and whistles, like, do I really want to start over again? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
you just need a break.
Yeah. And I'm obviously.
You can get them to pull it off and just put it on a thumb drive or something. And then when you're ready, you just pull it onto a new computer.
Really?
Yeah, I had a computer crash that had a lot of music on it, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was just like you. My dad took it in to somebody, and they were able to pull everything off and put it on an external hard drive. And it saved not all of my stuff, but like 90%. I was like, shit, that's a win, because it saved the music making program. It saved all of the music that I had downloaded, all the MP3s, all the emails. It saved all of it. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Nice.
But it wasn't free. But it sure, because you have to buy the external hard drive. But now everything I do, once I'm done editing it, goes directly onto the external hard drive, because I'm so afraid it'll happen again. Yeah. I'm like fucking traumatized.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of redundancy as far as ideas and stuff. Like if I get an idea, I record on my phone. I send an email to myself, kind of talking about what I did or whatever, or I try to convert it to whatever I do it in. Sometimes I just do it in audio. Sometimes I do it in video. Sometimes I write lyrics on the computer and then email them to myself. And I have a bunch of redundancy just because I think good ideas, they're not hard to come by, but you need to capture them when they present themselves. It's not like you're always going to come up with a great idea. And a great idea may not necessarily be one for everybody else. It may just be for you. But those moments are important to capture.
Yeah.
I think so anyway.
So if any of the listeners have, I don't know, a computer or a hard drive, send us an email at soundpollutionpodcast@gmail.com. It's a long shot, but we're going to try to take it.
Nice. I think the computer was probably working with me instead of against me, because I'd been trying to will myself to stop. So
Why? I don't get that.
Because I need to focus just on like making money instead of spending money. Like, music is expensive.
That is not a lie.
It is. That is very true. It is.
And I mean, it's like expensive for me is probably not, it's not like I spend that much on it, but like anything, as opposed to like bringing money in is, it's not the balance I need. So, I just building up my big old savings, right?
I don't know. At one point I walked away from music, which was not good for me. Not in any way whatsoever.
Or any of the people who knew you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I would recommend maintaining some type of, if you have to do it through your poetry, then do it through your poetry, but make sure you're engaging that, because things like that is what makes sure your life worth living. And when I lost that, I was done. So
I'm glad that you got back into it.
Be careful.
Yeah, I quit writing. First, I just quit all the different types of writing I was doing. First poetry, then short stories, then novels. And so then I went super big into visual art. And then I quit visual art. And so in between all of those, I had a break. But then I would come back with some other kind of creativity. And then I eventually, went back into music, and now I've quit music. So I haven't made any for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been that long. So, so it may come back in some other form, but my work is extremely creative,
Mm-hmm.
It's, like if I'm editing somebody's novel, we might spend years on it with multiple versions or something. And so, like, I'm just right in there, like, well, you should try this. Maybe what if you try that? And it's like, like I'm helping create other people's stuff, and that's fun. But yeah, it's very different from just, gosh, 2 a.m, I just can't sleep. I got to get up and make some kind of peacock sound for the peacock song or something,
That's a good segue into
I was literally
Dream of
going to say
Peacocks.
that. Let's talk about A Dream of Peacocks. I just wanted, I don't have anything to say other than this song sounds like what my head sounds like when I'm at the zoo, and I don't know why, but it does. And that's all I have to say. It's very cool. Bren will have tons of stuff. Go.
So it has a real cool intro. It sounds like there are pick scrapes along with the guitar feedback. That's kind of what I was hearing.
Yeah.
It almost has the music itself. It has a mysterious feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like there are actual peacock calls in there.
Oh, good.
And then the flute part played on the synth was pretty interesting too. So my question is what were all the instruments used to create this song?
Well, I thought you might ask that. So I made a list. So I was playing the bosun's pipe, slide whistles, penny whistle, suling, wooden recorder, playing the MIDI recorder, to the internal synth. And I was doing the vocalizing as the longing girl's voice wafting across the waters to the men on the crystal galleon. And I was doing the peacock. And then the production, of course, really is where it all comes in. I mean, that's the most of it. Just the playing of it that's nothing in a song, right? So then,
sorry, go ahead.
Then Wax Backwards was playing guitar. So he was doing like this ambient drone guitar with a lot of effects with what was he using? I'm not sure, but he was using, good effects. So we were jamming. And so it starts off, that's how the whole thing started, was our jam. And so then I took that section and then just, played with it. I don't even remember what I was playing at the time. I might have been playing bass. Yeah, he does a lot. He does a lot of like really cool, like, string scraping and stuff like that. I love it. We've got some albums that kind of feature. There's one song in particular that features his scream, his scraping, and I called it Scraper. The title of the song.
It's funny you mentioned recorder, because I was like, it sounds like there's a recorder in there. But then I was like, no, there's not a recorder in there.
She's one of the few people who used the recorder we used from school and is still using it today in adulthood. The rest of us can just play Three Blind Mice. Sound Animal's like, I'm going to keep this. Use this.
You know what's weird is before I listened to the songs, I looked at the titles and I was like, these are kind of suggestive and naughty. The titles were to me. I was like, It's making me feel kind of tingly. I don't know. And this is before I listened to it.
But she's not even hiding it.
Thought about it. I was like, this isn't adult content here. I can't do my analytical stuff with this stuff going on.
So the album is Crystal Galleon. And so, Wax Backwards was, kind of a bit of an innocent bystander. He just was jamming with me. But the idea was originally something I came up with from listening to him play a lot elsewhere. And he would just play on his own, and it would sound to me like a ship going through the ocean, and the whole dramatic weather it was facing, and then it would reach the opposite shore to safety. And it always sounded like that to me. I think it's probably sounded like something a little different to him. And so that was why I made this into the Crystal Galleon. And so there's a whole involved story about, it's a narrative concept album. There's a sea captain, and he goes off. He has this Spanish galleon, and there are other ones in the Armada that they all go off to do something, awful as they do. And, it's kind of this surreal thing, where the galleon is also, it's very peacock-like, and it becomes more peacock-like than more sometimes than others, and it's all just like morphing and dreamlike. And he goes off regularly, and his daughter is at home, and so she doesn't really know if he loves her because he's always gone, whereas he's gone to support her and her family. And so a lot of what I was trying to do with it was the relationship of fathers and their children, or mothers and their children. Parents, how do they let their kids know they love them? Because the kids don't always understand, they're going off and working to support me, and they're giving a house to me, and they're, feeding me, and they're taking me to the doctor, and they're like, and then the kid's like, hey, can you prove me that you love me with some present? And then it's like, man, I didn't really do that, but I was talking to somebody recently, and it's like, that's what the teenagers are doing. It's like just asking their parents, can I have a present? Right. So that kind of like asking for a present is kind of, I think, where a lot of human behavior is just, so much about asking for presents, asking for favors, manipulating each other, trying to use each other, all that kind of, milking each other for whatever we can get out of the situation, milking what we got, to get people to give us something or whatever. And so that's kind of what this trio of songs is about. Is why I picked it, these three, because I figure they go together as a kind of a similar thing. So the daughter is singing. She's dreaming about this, peacock boat as her father is going across the ocean. And so in this one, her song is just sort of wafting over to them as they're going in this frozen ocean, and they're all frozen in blocks of ice, and it's then the ship's taking off and flying. And so that's what that song is.
it'd be neat if you would release a song and release your commentary with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be like you could sell the song and then you sell the commentary too, like a package deal. But that's kind of neat though, but that would be cool because it's good to know the story of what's going on. The funny thing about what you said is she's never going to understand her parent until she is his age.
Yeah.
It's going to take, even if you're not in the same situation as your parent, once you hit their age, if they were during that time period, you have insight into them you didn't have before.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, isn't it? Realizing that's what it was like for them, and you're younger, and you're just like maybe not there for them enough, or whatever it was. Like you just didn't know like how much they needed you at that age, things like that.
I just think about how big of a pain in the ass I was.
What's that?
I think of how big of a pain in the ass I was because at that age I wasn't. Trust me.
You rascal.
I was very difficult.
You were difficult?
Hey, compared to now, I'm on a sliding scale, lady. But back then when I was a kid, I had things I wanted to do and I was going to do them if I had to drag everyone where I was going. Parenting something like that has to be absolutely horrible because, and it's not that I would want bad things. It's just, I want to play football, so I'm going to play football. So if you can't get me to football, I'm going to find a way to football, and so there's a whole bunch of things going on, and being away from your parents, you experience different things. And, it's just, I was difficult just because I was going to do what I wanted to do and everyone was going to fall in line. And my parents did not appreciate that sometimes.
That's really interesting. I kind of wondering if I should have been more like that in some ways, Like I definitely have been thinking about the advantages of people, like, I guess headstrong maybe would be a good word for it.
Yeah. Total bastard. That's another one. But yeah, I was hard. I was a hard child, but not, and I wasn't doing anything to be mean. It was just, now I understand, that what my parents were dealing with me because I knew how I was. And I was just like, I would have strangled the life out of me if I were raising me. But it's funny. And that's a good story too about the peacocks and stuff and her talking about the boat.
Yeah,
thinking about the boat.
I've got that, all those things in the notes on the, like on, Bandcamp and SoundCloud. But that's a good idea about doing commentary, like just by audio, just talking about it.
Well, you do it over the music. I would
charge for it, but just like adding it in, like if somebody buys it on Bandcamp or something, maybe it could be a bonus. But I'd probably just put it on there because, I'm not going to get all that many more sales probably back retroactively at this point. But I just put them on there,
No, that would be cool, especially if you were speaking over it. You had the music in the background because you could tell the story and then the music would emphasize as you're telling the story kind of thing. So that would be pretty cool.
Like everything you write seems there's always like a story. And I know you wrote books, you write poetry, you help edit other people's writing. Is that why you chose ambient or experimental electronic music? Because it's less restricted in form and it's more of a storytelling process?
Not because it's more storytelling, but just, less restricted. That experimental is what I've always done with all the arts. It's just
I can see that.
I've always wanted to be on the cutting edge of doing something new and different. Like when I teach fiction writing, it's the idea is like there's this certain model of how you write a standard story. And if you veer off of that model, the way that you veer off of it like implies something about the nature of storytelling or humanity or reality. And so that's what I've just always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. Like, how can I veer off the storyline in a way that's meaningful and pushes the dialogue forward, avant-garde society.
Would you say that you use the different mediums because they're malleable? A guitar for you doesn't necessarily have to be a guitar.
Right.
Right. And so I think that is what allows you to be so flexible. This is a guitar. What a guitar. No, it's a flute. No, it's a scraper. No, it's a wave sweller, stuff like that.
Yeah. The last thing I recorded was the heater coming on. Boom, 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 I was like, yeah, man, I can work with that.
It'd be cool if you could add scent to that sound.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain scent. Every heater gives off that burn.
Like an album with a scratch and stiff sticker on it.
So how is school going? What ages are you working with?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from, I guess, around 18 or 19, maybe. No, I don't know if I've taught anybody that young since I taught students that young, like, I don't know, when I was young for a few years. Mm-hmm. But they're mostly older than that. Really all ages, all over the place, because it's all online.
Let's talk about Can I Get You?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But before we launch into that, I don't want you to quit, because your music is really special to me. It's like an auditory representation of what the inside of my brain is like.
Nice.
And I know that sounds fucking wild, but like when I'm overwhelmed, this song specifically, when I'm overwhelmed and like the TV's on and like my phone's on and my daughter's phone's on and, 75 different people are pulling in and out of the apartment and I'm like, I just want it to stop it all. I have to like force it to become like a unanimous sound, or I'm gonna fucking burn it down. And this song specifically is what happens in my brain when I try to force it all to be something that makes sense instead of this random noise. So that's all. That's all I have to say. I have feelings about it.
That's a lovely story.
I don't
you tell it so well.
Yeah.
Boy, I've really missed you.
Aww.
That was sarcasm.
I believed you. If only.
I meant that story as a compliment to how you use all these different sounds that shouldn't fucking go together. That they seem like this incongruous noise, and you take them and you meld them. And with the way my brain works when it's overwhelmed, that's what I force things around me to do. It's like when you look at the tile on the wall and you try to find faces. It's the auditory version of that. That's all.
So this was the first song I listened to. And it's funny because the first thing I thought is, damn it, there's shit going on and I don't know what's going on. I need a lyric sheet for this. The funniest part is there's a lot of instrumentation, but the instrumentation is audio samples, different vocal sounds, drum machine, synth. And then at the end, I thought was very interesting too, because there's like a 28-second long fade out. And I kept getting closer.
Love it.
I was like trying to, I'd get quieter, trying to hear, because I was like, there's something going on in there. Maybe dogs can only hear it. Memphis, come here, So here's my question. How were the vocals done? So was it a style? Was it a delay? Was it some type of effect, or was it all three? Tell me about how you did the vocals on this one.
Well, so the vocals that are not me, those are samples from, let's see, when was that? I think maybe around, well, it's in the public domain. I think maybe it was around the 40s or something. Somebody went around and recorded different people's just short conversations and then wrote down like, this is somebody this old, this sex in this location in this year. So like capturing the accents and everything and how they would conduct themselves. So I used some of those. And so those are like, all the guys interacting with this dominatrix, or maybe they're all in one place and she's walking through the bar and serving them and they're all like, or maybe she's going from person to person and doing her thing with her little whip, or she's remembering them, or like, it all kind of runs together, like her job as a dominatrix, or, and then just like the customers, and they're just, it's like very money oriented conversations, it's like an what's the word? Not interactive, but, like exchanges of goods for like sex for money, or not sex maybe, but dominatrix really aren't like having sex with people, but sexuality for money, and like what that means to the guys who are talking and stuff like that. So it's just like voices that I got, and then I put them in there together. And then when I'm singing, then there are a lot of stems of me singing, and different ones. Each one has its own thing going on. So, I may put one in a room. Well, they're all in rooms. Everything's in rooms. A room is like a reverb that sounds like the voice is coming from a certain space, right? So in some of them I may be way in the distant of a little room, or I may be up close in a tiny room or a huge room or whatever. And then, all these just programs that I have that will change the sound if you do this and this and this and this and this and this and this with it. And it's like, so it's really just a lot of fiddling with it. Like that's what the production always is for me, is like long periods of just messing with it, and all sung right here in my bed, just like the peacocks, just like hoping that nobody's going to be disturbed by it who hears it in the apartment above or something.
Yeah, the vocals were interesting on that one. 'Cause when you had the speeches going on, but then you had the vocal overlays going at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like there was a conversation with words you could understand and one with words you could not. I mean, you could hear it. It's just how you sang that part would take on the meaning of that part, if that makes any sense to me or to you, to anybody. But but I wanted a lyric sheet. That was the first thing I thought as we got into it. And it wasn't, when it was the audio of the males talking.
Yeah.
That wasn't, it was when the other voices came out that I was like, okay, I need a lyric sheet so I can compare, contrast these, and what does this mean and stuff like that. But it was interesting.
I just sent you the lyrics that I was singing, and that's all I have on the SoundCloud and Bandcamp. But I didn't include the lyrics of the guys talking. Maybe I should go in, and I didn't do that with any of the ones on that album. I just used, for the lyrics, I just included my own. Okay. And that was all, basically, what can I get you, but like other versions of that,
Yeah.
Can I get you? And
yeah.
And sort of like this woman becoming a bit sinister in her approach to her clientele, because, it's a tough job, and to just deal with all these people and, however they need to be dealt with. And I tried to portray that compassionately, like as I was singing one of the voices, like to me there's a kind of a beauty to it where like I can picture her, going to work to pay for her kid, like this, it's not necessarily something she's into or whatever, but she's just like got to play the game. And So, and she's a cat, you know.
Making the feel of dollar bills. The bigger the denomination, the better the sound.
Well,
Probably more glamorous than it had ever been on the street.
I don't feel it. All right, I was starting to feel it a little bit. Okay, good.
Shooting $5 bills off. 5, 10. Shooting $5 bills off. 5, 5 bills off. 5, 10. $5 bills off. 5.
Making the feel of dollar bills. The bigger the denomination, the better the sound.
Well,
You won't know what's coming. You won't know where you've been. Like you ever knew anyone.
It's funny how people play roles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have a certain number of roles in your hand that you use as you navigate the day. And those roles come up and they're kind of protection from what you're doing. Or not protection, but they enable you to move on to the next role, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And for some people, they're protection. Like, I don't think I use roles that way as protection necessarily, but some people really strongly do and really rely on it.
I know I do. Like, I know no one thinks I'm an introvert here, but I am. So, but I have to tap into a different part to be what I'm not.
Yeah.
And when I tap into it really hard, then, when I do that, I'm exhausted afterwards.
I swear you say shit like that just to see if I'm paying attention. I do. I see you.
I do it to get a reaction or get a very minimal reaction. Those are my favorite. When you barely react, but I know you're reacting. You're trying not to give it to me. You're trying not to give me the reaction, but you still give the reaction. I love that. Did we want to go to the next song?
We should go to the next song. Let's talk about Milkum.
Okay, let's go. Go ahead, man.
It has a nice trip hop feel. It's a little more song, not so much sound, but it's really just because it has more of a steady beat. Mm-hmm. My favorite line, if anybody's surprised, is milk, squirt, squirt.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Brent, this is why we're friends. We just don't get to spend enough time together because genuinely, we're very similar people. We're the same. I was like, I laughed out loud. She said, milk, squirt, squirt. And I was like, if somebody doesn't fucking remix this so badly, want to send it to Pandasonic. Like, so I just need you to take this one.
You should send it to them.
Milk, squirt, squirt. I mean, there's just so much that can be done with the sounds. It's so good.
There's a guy who remixed some of my music, and he just, asked me if he could do it, for free. And
why not?
And so I sent him a couple songs, and he did really great remixes. And so maybe I should ask him, do you want to do another remix? Like, because it's like I actually would do it a little bit different. I was working on it when my laptop quit. So
of course.
So I was kind of hoping to spiffy it a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with it as it is.
I love it. It's a great track.
It is.
It's I since you've talked about a little about what this release altogether kind of means and what it's talking about, this song makes more sense in context. Yeah. But I didn't know that. So when I listened to the song, I was like, I kind of connected. I was like, is she talking about greed? Or is she talking about sex? Or is she talking about both? And then as I had that thought, it said milk, squirt, squirt. Yeah. And I was like, this bitch. I love her.
Yeah, that was my favorite line. I was so happy when I heard that. I was not expecting it either. I mean, some of the other stuff I was expecting, but that one was not what I was. Squirt, awesome. Never even crossed my mind.
Oh man,
but
I love
it does
you.
fit.
That's so what she said.
This has a cool synth part, especially at the intro, and then this is kind of weird. The vocals really sound a little bit like the tone of Jack Black when he's doing Tenacious D stuff.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check that out.
And I was like, that is very interesting. And I don't know if it was how you recorded the vocals or how they were sung. It doesn't, like, if you were to line the voices up next to each other and go, this is Jack Black, this is Sound Animal, you'd be, well, those voices are too different. So there was something intangible about it that was similar, and I think it was the feel of the voice, how it was being enunciated, how it was being.
Yeah,
but it made me feel kind of dirty though. But once we got the squirt, I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I'm like the mic that I use most often, I'm just singing into the laptop. That's it, I don't do anything fancy with the actual recording in that sense most of the time. But then afterwards, I do all the things. And I think part of it sounds like just because I was like singing with myself, so it's got like the multiple singer choir kind of effect. And like I can just so picture a video and there's all these women up there, like doing this, singing it, and they've got their little outfits on and they just start squirting milk out into
But they have to be dressed like cows. They have to be in like sexy cow pajamas with like multiple udders. Nobody?
That is not how I visualized it.
Well, it is now.
I did get a visual though my visual was pretty good.
It's like this song that, all the college students are singing, and it's like they go to this show and there's all the people up there doing like the squirt squirt song, and then there's like everybody in the audience, they're singing along with it and they're just like squirting each other, and it's like mayhem. I mean, I can see this song changing the world, like a lot more
everywhere.
Yeah. But it's, it's like about greed. Yeah. Like this whole set, like they're from different, like this one's just a single. It's not part of anything, but
okay.
It's very similar to me. It's sort of like an extension of the last album, the Glitch and the Dominatrix. It's kind of an extension of that, you know. But but then the other two, you know, like they're from different albums, but I chose them because they all sort of add up to a kind of a sinister theme, but they're also fun. And like I'm not trying to really like bring anybody down with any of these songs, you know, like I'm trying to entertain, but at the same time just sort of acknowledge like the dark side of humanity, and is like, maybe it's not all that dark, like it's just part of life, but it can be a little dark. So just kind of celebrating the darkness and seeing it and making fun of it and living through it and kind of taking it in weird directions.
Raise your hand, Brent.
Yeah. So you kind of develop songs as they go along. So in this one, when I was done, I was like, I wonder what it was like, the initial concept, as opposed to how it turned out. Because it's a journey to get your song. Mm-hmm. And so did it change a lot from your initial concept, and did it surprise you when it changed?
Well, my theory is that any song should surprise me, because that's how I approach poetry too. Like if I know how a poem or a song is going to end when I first get started with it, then I'm not doing my job, because I want it to transform the listener, and I want them to be taken to a different place by the end than they were at the beginning. And so I have to do the same thing. Like it has to take me to a different place. So like hopefully by the end, I'm a different person than I could have been at the beginning. And I couldn't have figured out that end in my head. I have to the song is the process of getting to be that person, you know, that can think of that ending. So they all kind of surprised me, but yeah, that one, I think I also kind of like the idea of like how people squirt from cows into cat's mouths. You know, like my father did that. So he would milk the cow and the cat would, yeah, and the cat would drink it. And, you know, so it's kind of coming off my, Glitch in the Matrix series, cause it's very cat. It's a very feline album. But yeah, like, I just kind of went through all the different, like, milk us if you got us, milk them if you got them. And so each different way of milking and being milked and being taken advantage of, or taking advantage of your assets or whatever it happens to be, you know, they're all different roles. And so as I would sing each line, and think of each line and sing it, I would be like experiencing the different roles. It's like, yeah, I get milked and I milk. And, you know, like, so it's not a one-sided song. It's like all the different parts of humanity into one song. And so it took me through the process.
It's an interesting concept to think about it if you think about it from a theoretical standpoint, mm-hmm. on what you're actually saying. And when you throw in he, she, us, them, they, we, us, all that stuff, mm-hmm. it kind of takes on a whole bunch of different meanings. So it really makes it interesting as far as the concept of giving. Basically, it's give and take. That's kind of what it's about, broken. Yeah. But it's cleverly said.
Thank you. Yeah, I think all the songs that I've, gave you guys this time, they're all sort of like about give and take. But that's not a huge topic for me in general, but I figured it'd be an interesting little triptych.
Well, I mean, you wrote 3 songs on it, so you can't say it's very, very low in your threshold.
Songs have I written? I don't know.
Yeah.
God, I don't know either. How many albums do you have out now?
I have no idea.
It's got to be around 20, right? Not more.
Yeah, it could.
Is it more?
I don't know.
She's like Sir James.
She is. I was like, how many albums is this? And he was like, 16. What the fuck? Like, it's just another day.
Yeah. AJ Kaufman, same way. He puts out music
prolifically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should interview him.
Way more prolific than I am.
I don't know if that's possible. I don't think you realize how good and interesting your work is, how diverse it is, how interesting it is. It's like a story, like you said. You know how they had stories, and that's why Brent's idea is so good. Commentary idea is good. So, go ahead.
I think you have to do that.
Brent's
if
like,
you want people to really understand what you're doing, because the things you're doing are so layered, it's difficult to absorb everything, even if you listen to it a few times.
So remind our listeners where they can find you.
There's my website, Sound Animal, and I've got a Facebook page for Sound Animal. So
you're on SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on Spotify? I feel like you're on Spotify.
I'm on Spotify.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to me there. I wish more people would.
Yeah.
So crazy about Spotify.
It's a weird animal.
People
Spotify.
are really into my music at Pandora.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is the most interactive for me is SoundCloud. Because, it's like I listen to mostly music that is very obscure and it's being created right now. And it's an interactive thing. Like I love listening to musicians and encouraging them. And so it's like a community there. And then my Facebook page, I put out, I post other people's music as much as I do my own. So, when mine first comes out, a visualizer or something, I'll put it there. But then otherwise, I'm putting out I'm just posting somebody else's stuff that I find really interesting.
What would you like people to know about your work?
Oh, that's a good question. Darned if I know.
That's where I should leave it. Cuts off into like.
That's funny.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Darned if I know. That's too funny.
Yeah, that's about it. I think I really.
Yeah, that's about it. That's it. That's where the outro. That's the exit music.
Hey, thank you for joining the Sound Pollution Podcast. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share. Remember, sharing is caring. And it can also be like if it's someone you don't like, if you share with them, it could be because you don't like them too. So just share it. Just, get through it. Just click the share button as soon as you see it. Let's just get it over with, because then it's less stress during the day and it just makes your life easier. So if you could share, that would be fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I hope y'all are having a great week. Remember to make some noise.